now experiencing the Gretna Bill Show.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Gretna Bill Show, a podcast about cycling culture and community locally here in Mount Gretna and in central Pennsylvania and the world, combating disinformation wherever we find it.
It's a huge day for us as Lebanon County residents. We have a chock full schedule. Hopefully everybody has a copy of the agenda for today. We're going to try to keep everything on time after we do a few comments here at the beginning and talk about a little bit of a status update on the trail. As you know, we're going to get on a bus and travel to two different ribbon cuttings today for two different sections of trail that are different in many ways, and I'll talk about that a little bit more at the sites. But one thing that is common to everything that we've achieved over the years is that it's a collaborative effort, and it's unique actually for a community to have the amount of collaboration with the different state agencies, DCNR, PennDOT, that have really helped us over the years, as well as the fact that we have a private group called LVRT, Lebanon Valley Rails to Trails, that works in very close, I would call it synchronized step with the Lebanon County Planning Department and the county commissioners. And that's unique and is why we've been able to achieve so much. It's been a while since we had a ribbon cutting, so some of these things take time. Some of the extensions have taken longer than maybe we had hoped, but we're there. And so today's about celebrating that and celebrating the partnerships that we have. Like I said, we're gonna stick to this schedule and get everybody back here by about 2:30. Is that right, Tom?
A little bit later.
2:30. I was pretty confident about that until I heard Gretna Bill was going to be on the bus, and now we might end up in the other side of the Stony Valley and just keep going. We might just keep going for the weekend. Take the weekend off. Okay. With that, I would like to hand it over to Lebanon City Mayor Mayor Capello for some opening remarks. Sherry's also the chair of the Lebanon County MPO.
So good morning, everyone, and thank you, John. So as John indicated, I'm here as the mayor of Lebanon City and also as the chair of the policy committee for the MPO. So the Lebanon Valley Rail Trail is one of our hidden gems in our county. It winds through some of the most beautiful natural and even historic areas of our county, and I have to commend the efforts of John Wengert and the Lebanon Valley Rail Trail Board. I think we all need to give him a round of applause. I sincerely do not think there is a more successful and more dedicated board of volunteers in the Lebanon Valley than the Lebanon Valley Rail Trail. They have been working tirelessly since acquiring the former Cornwall-Lebanon Railroad Corridor in 1999. That's 20 years ago, folks. Can you imagine that? 20 years, John, you were a young man then. So,
you don't have to remind me. I was looking at the scrapbook last night, and you don't have to remind me.
So, and the photo of one of your first, I guess, maybe it was groundbreaking, had Chip Brightville in it,
yeah, right.
with one of his sons on his shoulder,
yeah.
and he was like, 4 or 5, and now they're in college and graduated, yeah. So that's something. So again, back in 1999, planning, building, expanding, and maintaining this scenic multi-use trail. So phase 5, which is a phase that runs through the city, was completed a little over 6 years ago. It's hard to imagine, and bicyclists and pedestrians use the entire trail for recreation and transportation purposes. And the trail's used by all ages, all levels of bicycling enthusiasts, from young beginners to the most serious. And my own family has enjoyed time together by walking and biking on the trail. We've seen walkers, families walking together with their strollers, young families running together, playing games, to the top of the line bike riders. And I know personally Nikki is real fond of it. So I personally have enjoyed listening, watching the birds as I ride on the trail, so you can imagine how fast I'm going if I can actually listen to the birds. I also appreciate other signs of nature, like the cool, crisp breeze on my face as I'm going through that one section of the trail where there's a lot of trees, and you can always tell in the summertime when you hit that, the temperature drops like 10, 20 degrees, and you know, the fields of the flowers and the grasses blowing and the buzzing of the bees. I absolutely love it. So if you love nature, the trail is for you. It's for exercise and recreation, and it's another great quality of life initiative for the city and for our surrounding neighbors. The trail enables us to easily connect to other municipalities and allows bike riders to safely travel from one area of the county to another just for recreational fun or to travel to a particular destination. So we can't get enough of the trail in the city, and we have plans to actually construct connectors to the trail. One currently being planned is a connector from Coleman Memorial Park to the Union Canal Park in partnership with North Lebanon Township. We're also planning a connector from a future Liberty Park Trail in the downtown to the Veterans Memorial Walkway to the rail trail on Chestnut Street. We also recently signed a letter of support for South Lebanon Township to obtain a grant to design and construct a spur from South Hills Park into the city. And then a future spur could be an extension to the most eastern end of the Veterans Memorial Walkway in the city, where we have a pollinator garden. And if you haven't seen that, you need to check that out. If you like bees, you're going to love this garden. And that's thanks to the Lebanon Valley Conservancy. So you can see what we have done. You have inspired all of us to see your vision. And that's awesome. That's your legacy, John. One of the most exciting projects coming up, and I'm sure John's going to talk about this more, is the John E. Wenger Memorial Park on lands owned by the county and the city to honor its founder of the rail trail, which is John's dad. And I'm hoping that the park contains, we talked about this years ago when he first introduced the concept to us, that we would have statues of cows with an educational aspect to it. Because city kids drink milk too, and they need to know where that comes from. And I grew up on Wenger's dairy milk, and that's all I can drink. It has to be Wenger's, and I still call it Wenger's. I'm sorry, Swiss, it's Wenger's to me. The park will also possibly possess a butterfly garden or a meditation area for quiet reflections. And of course, it's going to be an extension of the rail trail with a connection into North Cornwall Township and eventually lead us to the Union Canal. So I cannot say enough positive things about the Rail Trail program, and I again want to thank John, the other board members from the Rail Trail, the county, including Tom Cote, who is behind me, John, Son, you know, the other members from the planning department, and of course Lori Yike, and the fine staff at DCNR for all of their help for making these projects happen in our county and in our city. So thank you again to everyone involved with the Rail Trail projects. It's a very worthy project and has provided tens of thousands of residents and visitors with safe, quality recreation and destination bicycling. So way to go, John, Rail Trail.
Sherry, really appreciate it. Now, my pleasure to introduce our special guest today, who's going to spend the day with us, seeing the fruits of what DCNR has invested here in Lebanon County, and that's Lauren Imgren to my left. Lauren has an extensive background in land conservation, outdoor recreation, community revitalization, water quality improvement, and natural resource conservation. She was appointed DCNR Deputy Secretary for Conservation and Technical Services in August of 2016. And from 2011 until 2016, she served as the Director of the Bureau of Recreation and Conservation at DCNR. That bureau has been our longtime partner with LVRT, going all the way back to what Sherry referred to, going all the way back to the initial feasibility study in the late 1990s, where I met Lori Kiefer Yike, who's been our advisor since then, and became a great friend and advisor to us and myself. So for 20 years, this bureau has consistently supported our efforts, and I mean consistently. That's the important word. Anytime we asked for acquisition, design, or trail development grants. And it means so much to us. It really does. So I'm pleased to welcome Lauren to Lebanon County. Thank you for all your past support, and I hope you enjoy seeing firsthand the results of our most recent collaborative efforts.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you both. It's exciting to be here now. Is this microphone working? Yes. Okay, thank you. You can't tell when you're behind it, you know. So, I'm excited to be here and excited to celebrate with all of you these remarkable accomplishments and the remarkable persistence that this community has shown in order to continue to develop this trail. We know that trails take collaboration to happen, and we see that here in Lebanon County in really spades. We're seeing collaboration between the various levels of local government, collaboration with PennDOT, and again, working with DCNR. And so we really want to commend you all for doing that because it's hard. This is hard work. It takes a long time. It doesn't just happen overnight to build trails like this. And that persistence really does pay off as we're seeing today and as we'll continue to see as we move towards completion by 2025. Is that right? Yeah, so we'll look forward to being back here in 2025. And I want to bring greetings from our secretary, Cindy Adams-Dunn, who many of you know and is a great trail supporter and has been part of DCNR on and off for a long time and currently serves as our secretary, and it's wonderful to have such a trail advocate in our department. Lori's been mentioned several times, but I want to really commend her for all her great work, and it's great to have her here working with all of you. These things can't happen, we know, also without someone being there committed to the project from state government, helping you, working hand in hand with you, and Lori certainly brings that to her work. We also have Alex McDonald with us today, sitting in the front row there in the blue and white checked shirt. And he's back in the Harrisburg office, he's the head of our trails section, and he works really hard across the state to bring all these trails together and to try to manage our limited funding to get it as far as we can and to get as many trails on the road as possible, miles of trails on the road as possible. So he does a great job doing that. And our trail funding comes from a variety of different sources. It comes from the Keystone Recreation Park and Conservation Fund, which is a 25-year-old fund that has been supporting parks and recreation and trail projects and land conservation projects through a small portion of your Realty transfer tax. So he manages funds for trails from that, manages funds from trails from the Environmental Stewardship Fund. Sometimes you hear that referred to also as Growing Greener. That comes from a little portion of landfill fees. And then he also manages federal funds, and that's through the Transportation Act. So balancing all those little different sources is a challenge, and he helps to make that all happen, again, working in concert with all of you. And I think it's really great that the MPO here has placed such a priority on investing in this trail. DCNR invests in trails, invests your dollars, your contributions to the state treasury in trails because people want them. We're about serving what it is that people want. And right now we're working on a new outdoor recreation plan and a new trails plan. We do these every 5 years, and as part of those planning processes, we survey the public. What do you want? What kinds of things do you want to see? And they consistently say that they want trails. And they also agree, and this is kind of cool, I think, that trails, parks, and open space are an essential part of the healthcare system. So we know that having close-to-home recreation really helps make us all healthier. I happen to live right next to the Appalachian Trail. I'm probably not hiking on it enough, but nonetheless, I know how important that is. I picked my house because of it being right there and being able to get out on the trail. But what people want is that kind of very local access. And we heard a little bit about that, the connections that are being made with the neighborhoods here in the city and with the parks here in the city. And the other pretty cool thing that Lori was telling me about is that through the planning department, you're working with the developers and the new developments throughout the county to help them think about how to connect with this trail, how to build connectors, how to be a partner in the quality of life in the county. So that's, again, a very admirable thing that you all are doing to give people what they want, right? That, for many of us who work in government, maybe we're not always giving people what they want, but we know they want trails. So, we're happy that we're able to do that. All these funding sources and the great support that we have in Pennsylvania for the 12,000 miles of trails that we actually have on the ground and the many, many more miles of trails that we want to develop to really have a huge interstate system of trails and connect all these major areas, this rail trail with other ones. I won't name them because I'm not sure which ones they would be, but a broad spectrum of different trails. But we don't have enough money. So Governor Wolf has proposed Restore Pennsylvania, which would be the largest investment in outdoor recreation, flood control, blight removal, a whole bunch of other issues as well. But the thing I'm going to talk about is how important that additional infusion of cash would be to get trails like this completed in a timely manner. I mean, we're actually pretty excited because we have a bunch of trails we think that are going to get done around 2025. But the other thing is a lot of the easy miles, and you probably don't think any of the miles were easy, but are done. And we have huge infrastructure gaps in the multi-million of dollars across the state to finish many trails. And so we need a big infusion of cash in order to make that happen. And Restore Pennsylvania would do that. It's funded through a common sense severance tax, and we hope that you'll take a look at that and encourage folks to, your legislators to consider supporting that, because we know that we need investment in outdoor recreation here in Pennsylvania. So I'm, again, really excited to be here today, to be celebrating the partnerships that you have brought together to implement this trail. And it's neat. I'm excited to be going to all these spots and seeing and celebrating and having the ribbon cuttings and thinking about how we're going to eventually make that connection to our assets with Terrace State Park. And so again, thank you again to all of you for your great work, and look forward to the rest of the day.
Thank you, Lauren. I'm going to throw something in here. I was going to save it for later, but it kind of dovetails one of the things Lauren said about close to home recreation and how this trail appeals to all ages and abilities. And this is courtesy of Todd Dissinger. Where'd you go? Oh, there he is. Todd's our treasurer of LVRT and has been an officer of LVRT with me since the beginning in 1996. So Todd deserves some recognition. Todd keeps track of things like the money, but also we have a counter on the trail, and it was courtesy of DCNR. They did a grant program, and there were counters given out to several trail groups across the state. This counter is located in or around Cornwall somewhere, and I don't want to be specific because I don't want people going in front of it and going like
Running
this.
back and forth to get those counts up.
But Todd runs the numbers because it actually downloads, it has a cellular connection and downloads to the internet, and we can actually look up the usage level on the trail. And Todd just sent me this the other day, and it's pretty impressive. For the month of August, 2019, the month that just completed, 37,450 people went past that counter. That was the highest month this year. Biggest day, Sunday, August 25th, we had 826 users. Daily average is 154 for the year. You can pretty much expect this. Weekdays are 115, weekend usage is 254. But this is just one point on a 16 mile, if you include the northern section where there's not even any connection to this. It's just one point on the trail. So you'd have to multiply this by, I would say, 3 at least to get a good estimate of the usage. And it's pretty impressive. And I can tell you that 37,000, there aren't 37,000 people in Lebanon County like Nikki or Bill or Todd. The athletic people. These are the average, everyday people that are going out after work and driving or even riding from their house or walking from their house out their backyard and just doing close to home, low impact exercise to improve wellness. That's what made me think of this. That's why I wanted to bring that up. So I just threw that out there now.
I think they're all going to the jigger shop.
Yep. Or the hideaway. There's 2 groups. One group and 2. Okay. So at this point, I want to hand it over to Tom Cote. He's going to do a little bit of an overview of where we're at in terms of trail development today, what we're looking forward to. And also, before Tom starts, I want to recognize Tom for putting most of the logistics for this meeting, for this event today together, getting all you here, and there was a ton of organizing that had to go into this, pulling this off, doing multiple ribbon cuttings at different sites on one day. So I think Tom credit, as well as John Fitzke and Song Kim from the planning department, who assisted with this quite a bit. So thank you.
I just want to point out again vivid partnerships that we have with DCNR, giving us to date, Lauren and staff, $2.8 million in funds for construction. PennDOT, Leona Barr is here. Leona is basically the project manager that works on all of our rail trail projects. Leona, wave your hand. have done amazing things, keeping projects on time, on schedule, working with our rail trail engineers. Two of them are here today, Mark Wilson, Nate McCullough. Raise your hands, guys. And I will say, way back in my early days at PennDOT, I was a bike ped coordinator, 1972 through 1979. I'm dating myself. But since that time, I've gotten to work with a lot of engineers, a lot of creative folks, but Mark and Nate and their staff are amazing to work with. They know all the state laws, rules, and regulations, the federal requirements as well, and they're fun to work with. You guys are just awesome, just awesome. So we appreciate all that you've brought to these projects and helping us shepherd them through to construction. So guys, thanks so much. But look at the PennDOT number there in terms of support for the rail trail. Almost $3.6 million. Same with the LEPCO MPO, $3.7 million. And obviously Lebanon Valley Rails to Trails, Inc., those private contributions of about $500,000.
Yeah, recognize Don Lesher, he's back there.
Yeah, Don, exactly.
Don's one of our campaign chairmen for raising the money.
You know, rail trail projects just don't happen, so that local support, that foundation, you know, of funding, along with working with the county commissioners, the county planning department, key municipalities, you know, the rail trail board, yes, and others. That's what brought these projects to fruition. So I just wanted to focus on that just for a moment, just to give you a sense of where we've been and what kind of funding we've used to make these projects happen. Now I'm going to refer to the status report that's in your packet as well. Status report. Does everybody have a packet? I see Commissioner Phillips does not.
Share with John.
Okay. I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version. You can look at this at your leisure. We have one fully funded project, Phase 9C, out north of Jonestown. That's going to go to a bid letting very shortly. We're waiting for one permit. I think, Mark, we're still waiting for one permit. Okay. We have one partially funded project, Phase 6. Phase 6 goes from the city through North Cornwall Township out into North Lebanon Township. That project's in final design right now. Again, Lauren, thanks to a grant from you folks, that we're using all of those funds basically to design the entire project. Yeah, that's Phase 6 right there, going through the John E. Wingert Memorial Park, running along Chestnut Street, out to 22nd Street, north on 22nd Street, and then through the Lebanon Valley Mall, back to the underpass at the Norfolk Southern Railroad, and then tying into where we're going shortly, out to the Phase 7 site. And again, the exciting thing, the Lebanon Valley Mall, amazing folks to work with. They're working with us on giving us all the right-of-way we need for $1 going through their property. They're also making improvements to the interior of the mall. When the mall is open, they want to encourage all the pedestrians that are using the rail trail to actually go through the mall. So the trail is going to go through the mall and then out the rear, and then taking us to the south, to the north, going out to Phase 7. We have one project right now, Phase 10, out in the northern part of the county. John, if you could put the regional map back, please. Phase 10 essentially runs from north of US Route 22 to a connection to Swatara State Park. We own all of that right-of-way except for two small parcels. We're now negotiating with those property owners on either acquisitions or long-term linear easements. We've recently, Lauren, submitted a grant application to you folks for a small portion of Phase 10, the very southernmost elements of Phase 10, including two small bridges for $500,000. We anxiously await a decision from you on that, but a lot more work to be done out there, and we're anxious to get started on it. We've just recently submitted a grant to DCED for Phase 6, Phase 6D through the Lebanon Valley Mall property, about $1,005,000 project. That project, if funded, would get under construction probably sometime in 2021, we hope. We may be having a second grant application to PennDOT to find some additional funds for Phase 6. That could be our next grant application to them. And we're really excited, and we believe, maybe the DCNR staff can tell us if we're wrong, but we think we might be the first rail trail organization in the state that's developing an asset management plan. A plan that's going to look at all of our resources. It's going to identify key trail assets, develop an operations and maintenance manual, prepare a capital improvements program, and identify other creative ways to fund the remaining needs we have for the rail trail. The scope of services is in your packet. You can look at that at your leisure. But again, Wilson Consulting Group, Mark and Nate and others are guiding us through that asset management plan. Again, it's going to be a great decision support tool for the county, for the Lebanon Valley Rails to Trails Inc. board to make future funding decisions so that we make the most cost-effective decisions in spending your dollars and our local dollars as well. With that, John, I'm going to stop.
I'm surrounded by brilliant people. And I think somebody said that once. Successful people surround themselves with people that are smarter than they are. And in this case, there's no doubt that's what we have here. I couldn't keep track of all this stuff. But what they do, what Tom does with the grant applications and finding money for shortfalls in projects and working with Leona and how they come up with the solutions to those funding questions is beyond me. And how Mark does his thing with whatever we ask him to do seems impossible in the beginning. Oh no, the engineer says can't be done. But he always does it. Always comes through with what we exactly had in mind. So, and then my board. So we have. Let me make sure I catch everybody here. Jay and Todd. Everybody else here on the board. They're probably going to join us at the site because we kind of wanted to make sure we had enough seats on the bus for our visitors and guests. So I think several more of our board members will be joining us out there. But Jay Green is one that's here right now, so I want to recognize Jay. It's been how long on the board? Probably 20 years.
I think I'm working my 20th year.
Yeah. And I might as well keep going. We're going to keep going down the road because City Hooper is here and definitely deserves a lot of recognition for representing LVRT in all our legal matters and deed easement agreements and recording of deeds and any other legal matters that we've gotten into over the last couple of years, which became fairly significant on Phase 7. And Tim does all that pro bono for us, so that's just amazing. Appreciate it, Tim. Okay, so what do we want to do now? Recognize a couple sponsors, that we had for today. If you're going on the bus, you're getting a bag lunch from All That and a Bag of Chips. It was sponsored by the Gretna Bill Show. Gretna Bill is here in the front row. I encourage you to check out its brand new podcast on YouTube. It's about a month old or so, a couple months old, that Bill put together about the cycling culture here in central PA. Covers a lot. I've been a guest on it, and several other people talking about biking issues in general. Appreciate that your sponsorship, Bill, for the lunch. Swiss Premium Dairy, we have some drinks down by the bus. I can twist some arms. Lebanon Transit, who's providing our transportation on the bus today. And again, Lebanon County Commissioners, all three are here today, which I think says something right there about what the support we have, and we really appreciate it. And the County Planning Department for the event planning today. So with that, we will adjourn this portion of the ceremony, and we'll proceed downstairs to the back.